Could you tell us more about your very first encounter with a shark?
When I saw my first shark, I think I was maybe 7 or 8 years old, and I was floating over 3 meters of water, and a shark swam below me, and it felt like time stopped.
Today's guest is Ocean Ramsey, marine biologist, freediver, and shark conservationist. She's reshaped how millions see sharks, not as threats, but as a vital, misunderstood guardians of the ocean.
The fact that over 100 million sharks are being killed for wasteful things, I just realized, oh, wow, there's really not that many people in a position to really speak up for sharks from a personal, first-hand perspective.
Co-founder of One Ocean Diving in Hawaii, Ocean brings people face to face with sharks to replace fear with knowledge.
They're not the mindless monsters they're so readily portrayed as in mainstream media. It could be actually one of the most beautiful experiences to spend time with them, but should be done respectfully.
Her viral images and daily dives have become a global call to empathy and action. Now, she stars in the new Netflix documentary, Shark Whisper, offering a powerful look into her mission. Ocean's message is clear. Sharks aren't the enemy, ignorance is.
And now let's start, Ocean. I just want to know, how are you today?
Oh, very well, and excited to get in the water with the sharks right after this. So
Are you in
went for my
Hawaii?
morning run. Yeah. So we're on Oahu. This is my home. This is where I grew up. I'm very lucky that we've got a good, healthy shark aggregation site about 15 minutes offshore. So I could go out there and see them every day. Very lucky.
And I would love to know, I've always wondered, because I love your name, where does your name Ocean come from?
Yeah, thank you so much. I'll tell my parents. My parents, my grandparents, and my great-grandparents, they're all very much water people. So they love the water. I'm lucky to have that in my soul too. I love the ocean, but I also love being in nature on land, and I love horses and I love doing land activities. But what really calls to my soul is definitely my work in the water with marine life, especially, obviously, especially sharks.
I've got questions regarding horses too. So just to know, for those who don't know you yet, who is Ocean? How would you introduce yourself beyond what people might see online?
Yeah, I usually would say I'm very many things, but I identify first as a conservationist because that is what I am so passionate about. It's speaking up and taking action for those without a voice, especially sharks. I'm also a scientist and an author. I've competed professionally freediving. I'm a professional scuba instructor. I've got safety credentials, medical credentials, a really diverse background. And the thing that I've devoted my life to is speaking up for sharks. So, a conservationist first and foremost, among many other things.
I'd love to begin with something simple but deep. How does the ocean truly mean to you? Not just as a place where you walk or dive, but as something you carry inside.
For me, the ocean feels very much like home. It's the most natural element for me, and I feel connected to infinity. It's a way for me to get away from everything and just reconnect. And it feels like life. And I think watching the beautiful shape and movement of sharks around me, especially when I'm in deep open ocean blue, it's like watching the ocean alive. And there's no feeling, for me, there's no feeling like that I get anywhere else.
So that's my next question. When life feels a bit out of balance, it's or too loud sometimes, is the ocean where you go to reset? And what does it help you to reconnect with yourself?
Absolutely. That is my favorite place to go when I need to unwind, to get away from everything, and to reconnect and recenter myself. And I'm very grateful that I get to do that. Usually start my day out that way every morning. And so I go out into deep open ocean and I survey the sharks. I record the human impacts on them. I remove entanglement from them, and I educate others about them. And while life above sea level can be a bit noisy at times, it's so nice to dive deep below and just enjoy time feeling connected to nature, feeling connected to other living beings, and being able to spend my time actually giving back to them. So that's my happy place, my way to reconnect or recenter. And if I'm traveling and I can't be in the ocean for some reason, I find that going on a hike or just being outside and even just listening to the waves or the wind as it moves through terrain, that's very calming for me.
Is it a kind of blue therapy for you?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely natural blue therapy.
Do you remember? Could you tell us more about your very first encounter with a shark? What did you feel at this time? Fear, wonder, or calm? And today, as your feeling about them evolved for sure, but could you describe how your connection with them changed?
Yeah, so I had never watched films like Jaws, and I was very young when I saw my first shark. And my father, he was a diver, mom was a swimmer, so we were in the water a lot. And I had seen a lot of different marine animals. And I was floating over maybe 3 meters of water, and a shark swam below me, and it felt like time stopped, and I was instantly mesmerized and fascinated. And I had a moment in that sort of where time stands still and I'm just evaluating this beautiful animal gracefully gliding below me. And I had that question come in my head, should I go into shore? Should I follow after it? And I'm so grateful to my younger self, my curious younger self, who didn't feel threatened by its presence. It really didn't pay much attention to me at all. It just continued on its way. And I followed it for a short way. And I like to say that now I've followed sharks all around the world, more than 30 species, following them, observing their behavior, and sharing that with others to speak up for them.
How old were you at this time for the very first encounter?
I think I was maybe 7 or 8 years old, so I don't remember exactly, but
three
around that age.
decades 3 decades after, you still underwater with sharks, and now you are one of the most inspiring women in the world. So it's just amazing.
Very
And
sweet.
what's your message for those who are still afraid of sharks? What do you wish they could understand about these misunderstood creatures?
Just like the experience I had as a very young child, that most of the time when a shark swims by you, it's just simply doing that. It's swimming by you. They're not the mindless monsters they're so readily portrayed as in mainstream media. And so I think it would be very good for people to overcome their fear, but replace it with a high, healthy level of respect because they are apex predators, but we need them to be predators. We need them to pick off the weak, wounded, injured, sick, dead, dying animals so diseases don't spread. And we need them to swim around seagrass beds and mangroves and coral reefs so that they're stronger and healthier. That's important for the CO2 cycle, for the air that we breathe, for the resilience and biodiversity of coral reefs. So we need sharks, and that's what I wish that people really knew, even if they don't like them. And I understand that most people probably don't like them if they've just watched films like Jaws or The Shallows or 47 Meters Down or The Meg, those types of Hollywood sensational films. But the reality is it could be actually one of the most beautiful experiences to spend time with them, but should be done respectfully.
People should try to dive with them, to swim with them, and to see that, oh my God, okay, they are not monsters, they are not man eaters, they are just in their natural world, and they can just live their own life without be aggressive towards human. Yeah, totally. And
Yeah,
that's
so
what you are doing daily with One Ocean Diving.
so I take people out every day. I like to say that Hawaii is sort of far away from everything, but also sort of at the center of everything in a way. And a lot of people like to come out here to learn and to enjoy nature. And so we have a program where we take people out, and it takes less than 2 hours. And we really do change people's minds and hearts about sharks in fewer than 2 hours. So it's a lot of education and it's an immersive experience. You can snorkel with the sharks, but you'll definitely learn all about their biology, physiology, behavior, body language, and how to personally adapt to all of that. And that's what I want to teach people is, go diving, but do so respectfully, learn about their behavior and then adapt. And then after people have a beautiful experience floating in the blue surrounded by sharks, then on the way back in, we talked to them about the plight of sharks, the fact that over 100 million sharks are being killed for wasteful things such as shark fin soup or even culling or targeted sport fishing, which is 100% wasteful, or for bycatch. And I feel like people are more open to the message of conservation once they've already had a beautiful experience. And so a lot of people love dolphins. They've seen a dolphin. A lot of people love whales. Maybe they've seen a whale. And so we want to try and help facilitate people to feel a connection, to have a connection, to have a personal experience with sharks, to see what their behavior is really like. Because as you so eloquently said, most of the time they're just swimming around doing their thing and they don't really care about us. And there's over 400 different species of shark with their own ecological niche. And it's very, very rare that a mistaken identity bite happens or a territorial bite happens. And most of those could be avoided. It's actually fewer than 10 people every year die from a shark-related bite.
The mosquito is the most dangerous animal for human. They kill almost 1 million humans per year. So just when I heard you are just a big passionate about sharks, and I would like to know, because you've made sharks your life mission. But when did that shift happen? Was there a specific moment in your life where you said, I have to do more, I have to be their voice?
It really was a culmination or a series of many events that sort of led me on that path that eventually had me taking that moment, looking around and realizing that no one else is going to do this at this point in time. Nobody else has this experience. And every single conversation that I was having as I was traveling, as I was working, it was all about sharks. And so I just realized, oh, wow, there's really not that many people in a position to really speak up for sharks from a personal firsthand perspective, or to be able to train people to do these things, swimming with sharks outside of a cage and educating people. And that's when I realized that sharks really needed more of a voice, especially with finning. It's just such a cruel and barbaric and wasteful practice that absolutely has no logic to it. So I felt really pulled after having so many beautiful experiences interacting with, tiger sharks and great whites and like cute little sandbars and black tip reef sharks, that I couldn't just stand by or just continue swimming with them and not bring other people in. I needed to bring other people in. I needed to get them protected. And for me, even here in Hawaii at home, sharks were not protected from wasteful killing. And so we took it upon ourselves, my husband and I, we trained our team. We grew our team, we grew the community. And year after year, we did everything that we could. And we eventually got the law passed to fully protect sharks in Hawaii. And they're like our family. That's like our Ohana. That's the sharks we grew up with. I get to know them as individuals.
So let's talk about your writing, so inspiring. The first one, what you should know about sharks. And then the second one, it's just amazing with beautiful pictures from your husband, Juan. This one, I love my sharks teacher. But Ocean, what kind of student are you? What did the sharks told you about yourself?
Oh, yeah, they really helped shape my movement in the water. They opened my eyes to so much. And I think I was natural as a student of ethology, which is animal behavior. And what they really did for me was, one, teach me an incredible lesson about patience and awareness. And I do owe them a big debt of gratitude for being such patient teachers with me when they're such capable apex predators. But to be aware is so important. And it's nice to be in the water with them because they force me into presence. They force me into a higher level of awareness and to show to show me their lives, to spend so much time that they're comfortable enough around me, to go about their day. It's an incredible feeling. So I definitely, humble student, and I will forever be a lifelong learner. And that's what I strive to be, is to keep open eyes and an open mind, a high level of awareness, and to share that with others.
You are so close to sharks that you give them names like Bella, Emma, Nikki. But before getting to that point, how much time did you spend with them to really understand their personalities?
When we started the photo identification program, I went back and I analyzed video, and I realized, wow, I've been swimming with this shark since we were both quite young together, and there really aren't that many sharks. And I started to recognize specific personality before I even paid attention to specific markings. And so I could just tell by the approach that this was an individual that I had seen or interacted with before. And over time, it was just really beautiful to get to recognize them. And now I have certain individuals that I can recognize them from the furthest distance I can possibly see. As they're swimming, I recognize the amplitude of their kick and just the slight maybe break of their jaw. And I can see that from a distance, and I know that individual. I see consistency over time, and I see little nuanced behaviors that really lead into their personality. And after so much time, I've been able to see the consistent way that they interact with me versus with my husband, because we've been together for 20 years now. And so I can see how they can differentiate between individuals, which is so cool. And that's something that, in the scientific realm, you usually hesitate to kind of talk about that. But when I talk to people, if you have a pet, if you have multiple dogs or multiple cats or multiple horses, whatever it is, you certainly can see that each individual has its own unique disposition, temperament, or also known as personality. And so it's really neat to get to know them on an individual basis. And it really it really helped me to sort of fall further in love with them. And I have a level of excitement for seeing specific individuals over and over and over again. And it warms my heart, but it also makes me concerned when I don't see them for a while. Like with Roxy. Roxy, her jaw was broken open, so it's already hard enough for her to feed. And so my heart breaks to see her struggle to compete with other individuals or just survive on her own, and how many times she's been wrapped up in nets. And now she's been gone for a couple years. So after having disentangled her year after year after year, the fact that she's gone now, even though she was at her healthiest before she left, it's either she's on a migration, maybe having baby sharks, pups, or she's entangled and was killed somewhere. So let's hope for she's having babies.
Mm. I saw in a French documentary that you also have a deep love for horses. And it made me wonder, how would you say your connection with horses is anything like the one you have with sharks? What are the difference between your two different maybe connection, or maybe similar?
There's a lot of similarities. I think I'm very lucky to have grown up with horses and getting to know each individual. And just like sharks, horses are large, they're powerful. They could bite you, they could kick you, they could step on your toe. They taught me a lot about not just redirecting, but being around a large animal of another species, a large, powerful animal of another species, and being very sensitive to the subtleties of their movements, the way that they communicate, nonverbal communication. And that really helped me to work with sharks. They also pick up on energy and excitement. They can sense your heartbeat, your electrical output. It's not exactly the same way that sharks do, because sharks have an electroreceptive sensory system called the
Mhm.
ampullae of Lorenzini.
Les
But
ampoules
there
de
are so many
Lorenzini.
things about working with the sharks and horses that I find to be extremely similar. And it's really that patience and staying calm, but being aware. And so I still have a horse. His name is Kahi, and I call him a wild child. He's pretty fun. And I like them that way. I like them all my pets are just they're a little wild. They're their own personalities. I'm not trying to like train them or domesticate them, but to coexist with them, to work with them, not dominate them, but to work with them and adapt to their needs and their movements. But we have a great time together.
And for you, in your idea, your daily mission with sharks, where do you find the strength to keep going, especially when the world can feel overwhelming or resistant to change?
Yeah, I do find that doing educational outreach in schools is invigorating. I go in and I speak with younger generations. I've done presentations all around the world, but my favorite ones are generally with youth. And that's because they give me so much hope for the future. Because while many people, they're kind of stuck in their ways and their mindsets, and I do see that shift, and that gives me hope too. But I think talking to kids, I just see that excitement and how much more aware they are of conservation, of the need for conservation, and to share that with them and good people. It's good people out there who are also trying to do it like you, who are sharing their beautiful voice and their platforms and trying to make the change. And that gives me inspiration. I do it for the youth, I do it for good people who are also trying to make change. And I certainly do it for the sharks and the other marine life and wildlife and nature. And so I'm never going to give up, no matter how dismal it feels at times when you see animal cruelty and waste and people who, they don't get it yet. You just keep trying, just keep going, just keep swimming.
I've got three more questions, and I know because after you are attending in the water with sharks.
Get to go
So
swimming.
yeah, so three more questions, and then can swim like a mermaid with sharks. If you could speak directly to world leaders, what would you say to governments and international organizations to make sure sharks are truly and deeply and really protected and not just on paper?
I would say that if you don't change fishing policies, you're shooting yourself in the foot and you're leading yourself to a terrible decimation. So if you could just work on protecting sharks, that'll subsequently protect a lot of other marine animals because that would require changing a lot of fishing methods. The bycatch rate in longline fisheries, in bottom trawling, in purseine nets is absolutely horrible and devastating and clearly unsustainable. But sharks are like the doctors of the ocean. So if you remove those from your society, diseases spread and you have collapse of many ecosystems. So I think focusing on protecting sharks, marine life, whether it be through MPAs or better regulations on the seafood industry, it's absolutely crucial for the health and for the future.
If you had to describe the ocean in one word, what would it be and why?
Ooh, that one's a tough one. In one word, life, definitely life. It is the concept on what we started was one ocean. So it's one ocean, one planet, one life. All life is connected ultimately to the ocean. And we all have one life and one chance to make a big impact, whether it be for good or for worse. So that's that's life. Life counts on the ocean.
That's amazing because our previous guest got a question for you, Ocean. His question
Mm.
is, what can we do today and tomorrow to help the ocean?
Great question. I would say one, try not to eat seafood if you can, because the current practices in commercial industrial fishing are really devastating the ocean. And so that's one of the single greatest choices that you could make if you have that luxury of choice to stay away from the commercial industrial seafood industries supplies. And then I would say advocate, innovate, and educate. I'd probably do it in the reverse order though. So start with education. Tell everyone everything that you know about the ocean, the importance, the plight of the ocean. Advocate for policy change, so better regulations, and innovate for technology that can help solve a lot of these solutions. And I do think tech, with the way that it's advancing, gives us a lot of hope for the future because tech can be used for not so good things like increasing, catch rates in fisheries, or it could be used to better regulate them as well. So I'm excited to see where this is going to lead in the technology industry and innovation.
And now it's your turn, Ocean. if you could leave one question for our next guest on Bluetiful Stories, what would it be?
In order to save the ocean, what would you attempt to do if you knew you would not fail?
I will ask for you and you will heard the answer. Thank you so much, Ocean.
Merci beaucoup for you, beautiful soul, and for using your platform to share this with others. I appreciate it so much, and you are making a big difference in changing the world.
Thank you for listening to the Ecoalf Podcast Bluetiful Stories. Stay tuned for the next one. See you underwater.